got another one for y'all, man. A big time interview.
Big time.
Legend in the town. Legend in the whole state, for real. You know what I'm saying? When you think of Minnesota, you can't really think of Minnesota without thinking of this man, especially when it comes to sports, basketball particularly. So we had to make sure we got this one done for y'all. Without further ado, we're going to get started with no one less than my boy Brian Sandifer, man. Go ahead, Brian. Let the people know you here, man.
Hey, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me on. Most of you kids, I consider you my kids like my sons. You guys, I grew up seeing you guys as you were shorties come up through the ranks, and to see the platform that you guys have started in the hood. Nobody's ever started a podcast in the city to recognize, all of the past and present great ones in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area. And now you guys have expanded in the suburban community for sports. Nobody's ever done it. I've been planning on putting my podcast out here this year, but obviously you guys beat me to it, and I'm more than happy to support everything you guys do, and just glad you thought enough of me to have me on your show.
Oh, man, we're going to collab. What you talk about thought of you? Boy, we finna collab. We're going to support that podcast just like others have supported ours, you know what I'm saying, going forward.
Yeah, we need yours too, for sure. You got a lot
for sure.
to say.
But let's get this started, man. Let's start from the beginning, B. So where are you born at, and where'd you grow up at, boss?
Born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota. Grew up on 767 Fuller, right in the Frogtown area, right around from the Great Badger Lounge and all the other, Pilgrim Church.
Okay,
talk
all about the history.
That was my whole area. We grew up there right down the street from, many of the greats in the city at that time. The Mitchells were my neighbors, Mark Young, the list goes
my
on.
Music.
DJ Mark Young. I mean, just the whole area. We was the original Fuller block. And grew up there, 767 Fuller. And my dad, probably when I was about 10 or 11 years old, my dad decided he was going to move to the east side. Somebody had offered him a nice amount of money to sell our house on Fuller. So we moved to Battle Creek area. We were probably one of the first black families in that whole area. I lived right across the street from Battle Creek Playground.
Yeah.
And he moved out there. But one thing he always did, he always kept me and my sister in the inner city. So even still, I was one of the first black kids to ever go to St. Agnes.
Right.
So I went to St. Agnes from middle school all the way through high school. He worked at Shaw Lumber Company, which is right across the street from Sheffer Playground.
Yes.
So he would drop us off at St. Agnes every day. So we always maintain all of our friends and everything, no matter what. He thought it was very important for us to maintain our relationship with all our friends in the city.
Yeah. And that's why you able to do your thing, because you was getting it in on both sides of town. So that's great, too. So what rec center was you playing at growing up, man?
I played for everybody. I played for my first rec center I played for was West Minnie. I played for Perry Pickens.
Okay.
Rest in peace, one of the great Jimmy Lee coaches.
Legendary
from back in the
name.
day. Oxford,
Legendary
he's
name.
An Oxford guy. Mr. Goodlow and those, they ran football. They ran, and Mr. Rico, who bought all the uniforms. He was a sponsor for you guys back in the day. Those guys were the ones who kind of ignited my fire for football. I never really, when I started him there, and then Perry Pickens left there, and then he went to Jimmy Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which was Oxford at the time. So played there. When I left there, then I went and played at Sheffer Playground. And then my dad, after a while, in the evening time, he got tired of driving back and forth from St. Paul to Battle Creek. So he just said, just play for Battle Creek. So I ended up started playing for Battle Creek in 5th grade.
Okay.
And then I played Battle Creek all the way through to high school. And then after that, obviously, I went to St. Agnes as a freshman.
That's hard.
No, that's what's up. So I know everyone knows you, being big-time basketball, making moves. But growing up, what did you love more, basketball, football, or even baseball?
I was just an athlete. I mean, just period. I was cold in all three, honestly. I say that humbly, but you guys, any of my high school coaches, Dick Gazzoni coached me at St. Agnes. I played baseball, football, basketball, and to be totally honest with you, I was probably best at baseball.
Mm-hmm.
At St. Agnes, we went to the state tournament 2 years in a row, led the team in stolen bases, second in home runs, had a trial with the Mets and the Twins when I got out of high school. I didn't take it too serious because I just kind of thought I would just go out there and try, but, at the end of the day, baseball was something I just played with seasonal.
Yeah.
Basketball, I put my whole heart and soul into that all the time. My childhood buddies I grew up playing basketball with all the time, Andre Thompson, Leon Thompson, Gary New, Troy Jackson, Mike, you're watching your brother. I grew up motivated big time by watching guys, the great Central players, Ricky Suggs,
Mm-hmm.
Baron Chapman, your brother Fernando Horton, Von Shepard, Paul Jackson. these are all dudes I came up with. At Johnson, you had Barron Chapman, Chris Garrett, Kerry Hill, Faye Suggs, relative of Ladarian. I mean, the talent that you used to watch in the city back then. Como had Don West and different dudes. Frank Shaw, who used to play for the Globetrotters.
Yeah.
These are guys that sometimes when you guys are talking, you guys are so young, some of you weren't even born. You know what I mean? So when you're talking in certain things, I sit back and watch. It's like, I'd love to let these guys know some of the guys that even related to a lot of you guys or went to the high schools you went to. These are dudes that were like major figureheads in the St. Paul City Conference and Minneapolis City Conference. That kind of ignited my fire. So basketball-wise, that was big for me.
Yeah.
Watching those guys come up, I wanted to be Brian Jenkins. I wanted to be, Rick Suggs. I wanted to be those type of dudes. And then in Minneapolis, you had Minneapolis North, who was unbelievable at that time.
We hear those stories.
Minneapolis North had, Ricky Hicks, who I consider probably the greatest guard to ever come out of Minneapolis. Ricky Hicks, Harlan Hill, Jay Rundles, Red Overton, rest in peace. You had Ben Coleman, who passed away a few years ago, was Mr. Basketball, played for the U of M, and then went on to play at Maryland in the NBA. And then, the dudes that came up my era, Derek Rubin was a Mr. Basketball, Brad McNeil was a Mr. Basketball, the list goes on. And then, watching Khalid and those guys come up after them. But, people think about, Henry was real good in 2000, but Henry was big in the 90s. You're talking about Prentice Perkins, who went on to play at the University of Washington, who was a great player, had played at Henry. And then, his brother Mike Pettis, before Terry Pettis, the kid that played, and then later on getting in trouble. But those are the type of kids that a lot of people don't know the history in those schools.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, these guys are like either grandparents of some of these kids that are playing now or actual parents of these kids.
Right.
So it's good to see them. And that's one thing about my program. When I host events, I see so many of those uncles and aunts and grandparents and stuff like that. They show up in my gym, when y'all was playing.
Right.
All of you guys, Marlon Speed would come with his big Marlon, call me last minute. Hey, man, put the Outlaws in. Here, I got $100 for you and some chicken wings. You know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that,
Yeah.
And, they come in the gym, and in the gym standing room only over St. Bernard's, you guys, the Hustlers, East Siders, everybody, Sheffer, everybody's in the gym. Ain't no fighting going on.
No.
Like stuff going on now, y'all will get after it during the court, and then after the game's over, y'all sitting around kicking it.
Kicking it.
So,
It ain't like that no more.
Yeah. I think that's something that's missed. I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I heard you mention that. You said that you probably was better at baseball, in all honesty, just being an athlete in you. I think some as black athletes, we don't consider playing baseball enough because, like you said, I don't think we actually put that much time into being great at baseball. I think we're just naturally able to be able to run, hit a ball, catch a ball, throw it as far, as fast, as hard as we need to. Because I play like third base, so I would be able to get it, of course, from third base to first base.
Right.
So quick. And I also felt like I was pretty good at baseball too, but I just didn't spend enough time at it. Right. Do you think that's something that in the inner cities we don't really pay attention too much is baseball?
Yeah, just athletes, baseball. I mean, you think about the guys that come from the city. The Hall of Famer, Dave Winfield's a baseball guy. One day, one of my ex-players, Malik Curtis, brought up some of the greatest athlete was Joe Mauer and Jalen Suggs, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, God dang, I'm a Jalen Suggs fan to the end, obviously. But Dave Winfield got drafted in Four Sports. You know what I'm saying?
Legendary.
He got drafted in Four Sports. Ricky Suggs got drafted in the CBA. Nobody knows it. And he was playing in the CFL with Warren Moon for Edmonton. A lot of people don't know that about Rick Suggs. He's arguably the greatest athlete, in my opinion, to ever really never make it to the highest level. He's the greatest athlete I've ever witnessed.
Easily, though.
When you look at there's nothing really he can do athletically. He can play any sport. And, you look at that, and then, you look at the football part of it, that was something I didn't really touch on as much as basketball. Well, football, I knew that was my bread and butter. You know what I'm saying? You love basketball, but what's the situation that can get you the most out of your athletic ability? And I knew playing football, I was a knockout artist. Anybody that knows when I played, Gary knew, my friends, they'll co-sign on how I played. Alan Langford, these are my good buddies, and know I was known to be a big hitter, so that was my big thing. So, I was a Prop 48 kid coming out of high school, so that was the first year Prop 48 hit in '87. It hit, so I had to go to me and Gary Newton, North Dakota State. We went up there. We both had the red shirt. Obviously, we weren't good enough to play there then. They won a national championship, and they're still winning. So we went there and redshirted, so we had to come out in spring ball And then the coaches basically told us that if if your grades are up and you play well in spring ball, you get a scholarship come back in the fall. So we went out in spring ball, and I was turning it out during spring ball, but they kept playing with my reps, So then I came back that fall. They said, they weren't going to give me any money. So
Right.
shoot, the day they said they wouldn't give me no scholarship money, it's me, Carlos Miles, Andy Ewald, Gary knew we was all in the dorm. I called my dad. I said, hey, man, come get me. He came and got me the next day. Next thing you know, I went to Normandale Community College. I was I was an All-American there, Great War All-American. Had, offers of Illinois, UNLV, University of Northern Iowa was in there where I ended up committing to because I wanted to play closer to my mom and dad. And Illinois put an offer off the table because I wasn't going to graduate until the summer.
Right.
So they wanted me there for spring ball. So I ended up going to University of Northern Iowa. I played on the team with Kurt Warner was on my team. He was camp meet at that time. I was the number one recruit in the class that came in with him. So at that time, he really didn't play that much.
Yeah.
$150 million later, he's a Hall of Famer.
Easily.
But, my route was there, and then I went on to play arena football for 7 years. And then after that, I had my son who's, who you guys all grew up with. And I said, I got to find a stage to put him on to do his thing. So that's when the whole Eastsiders, it started with the Eastsiders. The Eastsiders turned into a gang because I was the first Eastsider. Just keep it 1,000. I'm the original. There was no Eastsiders until I came to 1360 Mini High.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember them big
was a
jerseys.
Jersey. Nobody
Talk that stuff, man.
I'm just keeping it 1,000. Nobody came to the hood with more Jordans on than us with the headbands and uniforms and with the big Suggs on the back, little Suggs, train all that. Mark Sonny, we came in the gym. Everybody's looking at us. They used to put on a show, when they played, and I think that we was a team that that kids, wanted to beat all the time, which was good. But once again, all of our kids you guys were all friends off the court. You competed, and it was all love to this present day.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. And I hearing you talk about what you went and did, and coming back and having your son pushing it. When was the first team? Like, do you remember the first team that started this? Because fast forward now, we look at it, we big time. You in the draft rooms, you doing big things. But what was that first team to really start to even get to Sizzle?
The first team was the Eastsiders' first team was when I had started with Lil Brian. He was in 4th grade.
Yep.
And I moved on 1360 Mini High that fall, and your cousin Faye Suggs and Devon and Dion was living on Rennie. And they had played for Margaret previous year when I was coaching Jimmy Lee. And Devon was just a monster. He was the monster of the hood.
He's the man-child.
And people talk about Jalen, but no. Devon Suggs was the monster of the whole hood at that time. Let's keep it real.
He's the only one that got muscles.
The same size he is now is what he looked like when he was in 5th, 6th grade.
He's the only one that had muscles with no weightlifting.
So I seen him play, and I said, I found out where he lived. I went to his house and asked Faye. I said, hey, man, can the boys play with me? He says, yeah, just come get them. So we started. Me and my dad started it. Got on East Bay, ordered some Jason Kidd tennis shoes for him, ordered some reversible jerseys, and we got in touch with the dudes that run Minnesota Select, Sean Kruger and them.
Yeah.
And we started playing over at the Midtown Y them tournaments, and where they was beating teams so bad to a point to where they had them playing up.
Yeah.
So when they played 5th grade, they make it play 6th and 7th grade sometime because they was beating people. They was throwing lives.
And you already got kids playing though.
Yeah, they throwing lives off the backboard in 5th grade. Lil Brian and Dion couldn't get in the lane. They shooting threes from out there with headbands on, shooting with 2 hands.
Not
to get
to
the
mention
ball up.
Mark across you.
Mark signing, him.
Mark.
I had Mark signing, then I had a white kid, another kid that was off the charts named Ethan Tomper from Eastview.
That was
That jumped out the
Energizer or
gym.
something, right?
That
What was his little
Mark
nickname?
signing was Energizer and Ethan, and we had a real tough kid went to end up going to Cretan with Shea Walker named R.J. Spardell. He played on that team, so they played on that original Eastsiders team, but our actual rec team was, remember, we had Harris Moses, little African point guard.
Yeah.
We had Lil Brian. We had
This is y'all
Wavy-
Battle Creek rec team.
Battle Creek team. So that team won the city before Devon and Dion ever even played with. A lot of people think they just won when Devon and Dion was there. No. They won the city championship 3 years in a row, but their first year they won it without Devon and Dion because at that time, as y'all both remember, King Center had Greg and Lewis. They had Royce. They had Saladin. They had Lil BJ.
Yeah.
And training them beat them in the city championship.
That's nice.
Yeah. So
And
they
younger.
had a whip, and they was younger than them.
Mm-hmm.
So they beat them, and then the following year, Dion came. Devon wanted to stay over and play with my man Brian Pearson and Margaret, and we beat the brakes off them. And ended up, Dion and them, and ended up coming, playing with us, and we won it then. And then the last year, obviously, Devon came over, and we had so many people to come see us play Jordan, and them. They switched the game from Battle Creek to Murray.
Had to.
We played that at Murray, man, and that from that point on, that's when the whole time Larry Suggs would always bring Jalen to the games. Jalen was a little guy.
Yeah.
Jalen grew up watching this the whole time,
Yeah, easily.
And then, obviously the routes that you guys took for high school, I don't even want to go into what you guys can ask me questions about the schools that we was at, but where we was at, and everybody did what they did.
Yeah, that's easy. I think even back then too, I think it was more of pride in the city. I can say that for sure.
Facts.
It was 100% more pride in the city, even though we never, like, my dad, he took us out of it early, like 4th grade after, because to him, I don't think he gave the city a chance. Once we was able to compete at a young age with older kids, he was like, this ain't doing much for us. Mm-hmm. And then he took us out. He took us out in 4th grade. So I don't think he gave the city a chance for us to actually play in it. So that's one thing I do kind of like think about, like, dang, what if we'd have got to play in the city against? Because I think that's another reason why people didn't know about us as much until we got to high school. Like, people, unless you went to school with them, they don't know who Taylor is. They don't know who I am. They don't know who Bo is. They don't know who Maxie is, Eston, any of these people, Ray John, because we're not really, unless they play for their school, you don't really know who we are, because we just, so I used to tell people all the time, like, I'm better than you. They be like, I play for such a, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like, but it was no disrespect, but that was just what my dad did. But I think back then when y'all was playing in the city, I used to love coming and watch y'all play in them games, because the city, it just be so live. Like, the parents in the crowd, it's people betting, like, it's action, sometimes it is activity, but for the most part, it's just like very good environment. It's competitive, and the kids is all getting better. What do you think about this participation now stuff? Do you think that's kind of what hurt the city a little bit? It's like everyone got to play a certain amount of minutes.
Well, the thing about it, man, honestly, in this stuff, the parents ruin it for the kids, man. I mean, I'm in the gym and I see, I got dudes, these the city conference in general right now is bad now, just because so many people that grew up with y'all and grew up with me, they've moved to Woodbury. They've moved to different parts, Roseville.
Different suburbs,
30 years ago, Roseville didn't have any integration. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now you go to Roseville High School, it's like going to Johnson.
Is it?
I'm just saying. You go to Irondale. You go to Irondale, it's like going to Johnson. Years ago, this wasn't the case. So a lot of cats that went to Johnson, that went to Central, that went to St. Agnes or whatever, like your dad lives in Farmington. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, for the most part, has moved out of the city because they don't want their kids to grow up in certain things that's going on right now.
True.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
So that's why the Cretan movement. But at the end of the day, if there's no Arvesta Kelly Sr., there's no Cretan. There's no Cretan movement. I'm going to keep it 1,000.
Yeah.
If there's no Arvesta Kelly Sr., he's the reason why that the movement for when AK went over there, his son, who was one of the greatest to do it, my guy, that's when it started for Cretan. When I was in school, Cretan was always competitive, but there was no state tournament championships in basketball. There was none of that. They was always competitive, always they had no pros, Molitor and different dudes like that come through there, but it wasn't for the run like they had a run with Maurer and Rashawn Neal and those guys. Them were great players.
Crazy run.
Did they go 4 in a year? 4 in a row? Lost 2, won 2?
Those are guys. They were Jimmy Lee guys.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Maurer's parents understood. Yeah. So those guys. The city's not like that no more. You know what I'm saying? So when you go to a Highland game, it's not. There's no more Hargroves no more. There's no Jamwans and Curtises. There's no. There's no Terrence Stokes. No Wingos. You feel me? You go to Central no more. I mean, Al's son is a throwback, but Al's son. When you talk about Al Langford's son, talking about his dad, when his dad played, like their games were standing room only by the JV game.
I'll say that.
They played Central in '85 in the very first game of the year. Central was sold out. They called the game off because there was sweat on the floor. People were sliding around. It was sold out.
Yeah.
There's no more games like that no more. I mean, I say this with all respect. I'm glad that my boy Steve Salaja and Colin got that rivalry with Harding and Johnson. Harding and Johnson never had no rivalry like that back when we was in school, because you always figured that Johnson was going to beat Harding. But the other few weeks ago when they played, it was packed in there. That was the hood anthem. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. And at the end of the day, both schools still I would say Harding has made more improvement. I would say Johnson, for what Johnson's has the signature, the way that
The
they
pedigree.
the pedigree and the
Yeah.
standard that Johnson's had. It's really, when you look at them right now, the kids they have now, no knock on them, love them all, but those kids right there would have struggled playing on them teams they had just 5-6 years ago.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? They would have
Easily.
struggled big time, because you're talking about those kids trying to beat out Roosevelt and Didi and them dudes. It would have. There's dudes, them dudes there wouldn't if Vern and Colin would have made cuts. A lot of them dudes wouldn't even be on the team.
True.
You know, so, and I don't mean that in a slight, but I'm just saying the drop off in talent, I think, is big, because there's been so many people, y'all's age, my age, whatever, that have moved their kids to suburbia or Hopkins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? De La Salle, obviously been a great private school. Minnehaha, you obviously, you guys know what I did there. We'll talk about that, obviously. But kids would not go to the city no more.
That is true too.
And
That's
I got
why we
stage,
bigged up Lil Allen for staying.
Yeah, I got my own stage. I've been doing sizzle. My tournaments for 20-some years. They don't got to go play in the city, because if you come play in my gym, you're not going to just play teams in the city. You're going to play teams from all around. You're going to play the Hustlers. You're going to play the Spartans. You're going to play Shore as Fireview. You're going to play teams that you haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get back to the city, you guys just dominate them.
Yeah.
No, I love that, and this is asking you questions because we wanted a history lesson from you, but also give you your flowers. Like, I don't think people realize your tournaments gave refs, revenue. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people selling merch, where it's food or whatever in there. It's packed in the gym nonstop. A lot of people be like, well, why does Brian have so many teams? You give so many kids that either get cut on a regular team opportunity to get out there and showcase, and you done pull kids up from a team where it's like, well, we're going to have you just get out there and get reps, and then now 2 years later that kid is balling at a high level. What really made you put on for St. Paul and bring tournaments there? Because we always had to go to Osseo or YZ way far out, and once you started cementing it, I don't even want to go out there. We're just going to play in Brian's tournament. It's going to be cracking. You're going to get 3-4 games, and it's going to play a Chicago team. So what really made you start doing that? Because St. Bernard's was crazy.
Well, what happened was, man, I started going out of town a little bit. I was going to Chicago, and when Devon and my son was in 7th and 8th grade, we went to the Windy City Classic downtown Chicago and played. And my buddy Chris Head was running an event, and we went into UIC, and you saw all these teams like Ferrari. Joy of the Game had Marcus and Jeffrey Jordan was playing on it. They playing on the team. Jordan boys are walking around with security and shit, walking around. You had Derrick Rose was walking around playing. Like, you see that and you like, man, I'm like, it was motivating for me, and I said, I got to come back and put it down. So I was the first one to rent the Midtown YMCA before anybody else. Y'all was coming over there when you
early.
I was the first one when
I never
Tyus
even knew
Jones
they had a
and
Y over there.
Jordan Hughes. Come on. We was the first. It was no Sizzle. It was the East Siders. I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Larry, we was coming over there with the Midtown first. We was in the basement at St. Matthews. St. Bernard's was the hottest gym in the hood. We could talk about Johnson Tartan all you want. At the end of the day, the number one spot, you can like it or not, at that time, St. Bernard's was the hottest gym in the hood, period.
Easily.
Crazy.
It was the hottest gym in the hood. The atmosphere was off the charts because you was right down on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those other gyms, even Johnson, because the bleachers kind of go up high,
Yeah.
and even Tartan. But the atmosphere was, I think Jordan posted something not too long ago where the dudes were sitting on the baseline, him and Al did, and they said, this is what it's like with St. Bernard's. That's exactly it. Because when they played Hopkins, when Royce and them was there, the game was sold out by 4 o'clock down there. People were sitting in the windowsills. It was above fire code.
It was
just
crazy
too hot.
game.
I came. We came after practice.
Yeah.
It was too late, and I left.
Yeah, that game was absolutely, and that was the only team all year long that had them beat until the referees got involved in it late because they was up 8 with 3 minutes left.
You said you under the Chiefs Act?
In the Phantom Card. I mean, it was what it was. But at that night, I mean, Jet was the baddest man in the gym.
Oh, baddest
that's
man.
easy.
And
That's
I mean,
a
end of the
simple
day, Royce is my cousin, whatever. But that night, Jet was the baddest man in the gym, and the biggest dude on the team was Lil Brian, my son.
Right.
So
that game was crazy. That game was crazy.
That talent and everybody in that gym from they had, and even that time, you got to think on the bench for Hopkins that night. You think who was on the bench? Tro was at Hopkins back then.
Yep.
Yeah, he was.
He was on the bench. Riley Deering was on the bench. Siani Chambers was all. They
Lil
were
Marv.
all on
Joe
the bench.
Coleman,
Lil
Marvin,
Marv.
Joe Coleman, they
DJ
were all on the
Peterson.
bench.
Lil Marvin
So-
them was on the bench, right?
Yeah,
At that
so
time.
you got to think about it now. Mind you, them other dudes all are in either played pro or went high major. Royce, Brohammer, Marcus Williams, NFL.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Trent Lockett played in the NBA,
Raymond
played
Cowles.
overseas. Raymond
Raymond
Cowles
was
still
so cold.
playing.
Brohammer, yeah.
Yeah, Brohammer,
Raymond
Notre
different.
Dame. I mean, saying, you know, and then you had our guys. Every dude from our team got scholarships. Jordan went to play. They played soccer. He went and played soccer. Shane Taylor went to Holy Cross. Train went to Sioux Falls. Jordan went to St. Louis, Player of the Year. Trent Davis had a great career up at Superior. You know what I'm saying? Everybody went somewhere on that team. You know what I mean? On both schools. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. When we be talking about basketball, we talk about sports. A lot of times people get caught up in winning and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, man, what did you do when you left that school to impact your life and impact the city?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't, other than being here, I don't be talking about what I did in football. And I don't even bring it up. You guys
Right.
know you around me a lot.
For sure.
I'll talk about what I did in football. And y'all didn't even know I played baseball till we talked today.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't get into all that because, you know, I tell people, they say what do you want to say. Hey, you Google me, man. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
a fact. That's
Google
a
me and
fact.
watch ESPN. You're going to see that pink straw hat somewhere in there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
For sure.
You know, and that's the end of the day, man. Like I said, these kids, you know, that atmosphere is gone. That atmosphere. So that's why I do my tournaments. If you came in here 2 weeks ago, it was standing room only.
Yeah.
I had teams from St. Cloud Tech's middle school was up here playing. I mean, traveling team. We had the Spartans was in there. We had Phelps. We had Westside Boosters, standing room only.
Mm-hmm.
We got bleachers now.
I
We
know.
got real
I seen
bleachers
that.
now.
It
We ain't got
came
the
up.
metal bleachers. We ain't got the
It
baseball bleachers
came
no
up.
more.
It got some bleachers in the
Yeah.
gym.
But you can't beat the atmosphere. You at St. Bernard's. You got the Outlaws in
Not
there
at all.
with y'all.
No.
You got Hustlers. Rick Suggs Rico had the Jaguars. Remember the Jaguars?
Yeah.
Was coming in there. Will Marshall had Roe and Tro and Ben Glover and them playing for the little team they I forgot was a
You got his
Bulldogs
team,
or
the little
something.
Conley and them MLK.
Conley was coming in there all the time with Dante Warwick and these guys.
We had Team Minneapolis when
Hell
me and D Hill went over there.
Yeah, your team
Man,
Minneapolis.
he ain't lying though, man. We played Hopkins, so that 09, he's not lying about the atmosphere. That 09 was different, and like we played
Yeah.
Hopkins first, and we
I
was
was
first
there.
in 3, and that
Sold
game was
out at
crazy.
Washburn.
I
That game
know.
was crazy. We lost by 9. We were like best game of the year. Then I went to Jordaire's game, and we looked at a couple of our teammates, and they lost by 8, so they ended up losing by less. And we were like, yeah, we thought our game was cracking, and everyone from Minneapolis was like, it's like that over in St. Paul. I said, it's like that. So that game was, I'll remember that game.
I literally
forever.
came to that game. Y'all senior year, but literally because we had to come right after practice. Coach Howard already knew what we was on, so Coach Howard really was on some hay stuff. He made us have a late practice.
Everybody came.
Everyone came.
Jordair left. They had played Como. No. There was kids that had left their high school games and was coming to that St. Bernard's game with their uniforms on.
That's what I said. I literally came from practice. Me, Tay, and one more person came. It was probably me, Tay, and maybe like little Mike or Jordan or something like that. That's who I would have been with back then. But we came. I remember my Dodge Nia. I hit a U-turn trying to park and everything. We looked at the line. It was people still standing outside. I'm like, Tay, we not getting in this game. Tay still want to try. I'm like,
It's over
I'll
with.
drop you off, big dog. I'm out of here. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
over
Like,
with.
we're not getting in this game, man. We're late. It's over.
If you was in a Bryant tournament, you felt that pressure, and you could go play anywhere. You could go
Yeah.
play anywhere in the city, damn near anywhere in the nation, because
Yeah.
it was that pressure. Because you miss it, and it's the whole hood looking at you like, yeah, I thought you was like that. So that's what I love
Listen.
for sure.
Back then, and that's why I said it was just prideful. Like the competition, like I loved the competition. Like I love playing against someone like a Jordan Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Lorenzo Stewart.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Just because we're going to bang in there. And I love to bang. Carlos and them, don't call no foul. May the best team win, and we going to play physical.
Man,
You
listen.
ain't got to worry about that. We coming to hack. So,
A game y'all forgot, though, that really kicked it off because the coldest cat that come out of St. Bernard's that time was Deontay Roberts. This is
Oh
Keeper
yeah,
1000.
facts. He was
Okay.
nice.
I'm
He
a
was nice.
Lefty.
oh, yeah.
He was off the charts.
Bounce.
Bouncy. He was a freak. Now,
We know
mind
Tay.
you, the greatest game prior to that was his senior year. Johnson was number 1 in 2A. Number 2 in 2A, they had Sammy Ricks, Freddie Coleman, Big Meech,
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Clark.
Jeff
Neal.
Clark Neal, loaded, team loaded. Sal was on the team. St. Bernard's had Trevor Mabot. No, they had Deontay, Chad Jones, Jeremy Sutherland. Hybrid
Yeah.
Nation.
Yeah.
Trent Davis. They had Pat Cassidy. Train them was playing JV varsity because they were so loaded. Sold out. That game was sold out. We lose the game. Sammy Ricks hits a floater at the buzzer to win the game. Slapped the quarter, half court, and ran out the gym. Sold out. Sold out. That game was sold out.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Say Burners needed a bigger gym. I used to be like, y'all getting it busted too much over here. Y'all need a little bigger gym. Get rid of the bowling alley.
The greatest story though was
here.
back then. You remember you could transfer without.
Without having to sit out. Yeah,
They left you on.
He
the
knew.
Chill out.
by yourself,
Look,
you know what I'm
look.
saying?
yeah.
But the coldest transfer ever was, I'm sitting at the crib. I just dropped train off at school. I get a phone call. It's Chad Jones. He's like, Coach, what's up? He said, somebody want to talk to you. Trevor Mbakwe says, Coach, I'm in St. Bernard's in the registering right now. I said, oh my. When Trevor Mbakwe walked in those doors, come on, man. First game of the year, we played Moosey now.
Yeah.
We played Como. They had Steve Baker,
Mm-hmm.
my boy
off.
Brandon.
Greg and them
The
and all.
opening tip
Off
off.
the tip.
Cassidy called a play called loop. Trevor tipped the ball to Trent Davis,
Looped around.
and he looped around. He threw him a lob from half court, and he dunked it, and the gym went crazy. Channel 5 News there. Everybody was there
I
for that
remember
game.
seeing
That's
that.
somebody we're gonna have to get to. I got
Trevor
a relationship with him. We gotta
Mbakwe.
get Trevor on here.
In that gym, we was 34. We should have won the whole thing. We were 34-1 that year. We lost to Ellsworth. Something had happened the night prior to the semifinal game of state tournament. I won't say, but it really affected them.
Yeah.
But if you talk about box office, Trevor Mbakwe in that gym, him and Deontay and all them dudes that came through there, like, you're talking about some of the greatest talent. When we talk about talent, and I put them up against Johnson and them schools, we can talk about me and Didi and then we go back and forth. But at the end of the day, the dog pound can go to toe with anybody that ever lace them up.
Right.
From when I stepped in that joint from 2003 to when I left 2010, they lost 19 games the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
We got dudes still playing. Train still playing arena football. Trevor could still be playing if he wanted to.
Yep.
Jordan retired just because he wanted to.
Right.
Like we had some of the greatest talent in the whole city. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, you look at the talent that's come through the city. Like, I would say this, and I think you guys would agree. Central has been the number one school to underachieve for the amount of talent they've had the last 50 years. There's no more talent that's walked through a high school door than St. Paul Central. When you talk about talent, and when you say that the girls program is the only one that's won the state championship in basketball, is absolutely incredible.
It's a sickness, ain't it?
Man, they should be in the neighborhood Hopkins.
It's absolutely.
It's sick.
It's absolutely incredible. And we can talk about great teams because at the end of the day, we had great teams at St. Bernard's, but we still never won state championship.
Mm-hmm.
We took second. We took third. We took third and second. We went whatever, but they win every year that I was there,
Yeah.
except Deontay's on one and go. But when you talk about, I hear my boys from Johnson raving about the J. We talk about Tartan and these schools, but Johnson, Tartan, and Highland Park are the only schools that I'll consider that had city type kids that have won a state championship.
Yeah.
Three. That's it.
Yeah.
And you talking about Johnson and Tartan alone, you talk about that side of the water, they probably had 60 kids that went on to play major college basketball.
100%.
Yeah.
Two state championships between them two schools. Central's never won one, and the only other one was Highland Park when Mo Harger and them won his sophomore year when they
98.
beat North St. Paul in 99 when Terrence Stokes and them was there. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And for that to happen, and then when you go to Minneapolis, De La Salle's won multiple state championships. Minneapolis North won multiple state championships. Henry's won multiple state championships. You look at that, and it's like
Washburn too. Don't forget
Washburn.
us. Don't forget us.
Washburn won. You guys won one, right?
Two. Well, really three. Way back.
Yeah, you
in the
won
day,
it when you guys hit the shot. No, De La Salle upset them in 2012 with that last second shot.
When we won it, it was the 15-year anniversary of them.
2009,
upsetting.
you won it.
2009 we won it, and then I believe it was 1993 they beat Hopkins when it was only two state
I already
championships.
know. Moose Patterson was him and Aaron Boone. That's back in '94. They won it.
94.
That's
there
when
you go.
Marlon them won it at St. Agnes back in '94 when Saladin was coach. That was St. Agnes' only state championship. So we'll include St. Agnes in that too. So St. Agnes won one. But for that to happen, because St. Agnes had a ton of talent too from when I was there all the way through. for them to only have one state, the one state championship with them schools.
There's something
I'm
wrong.
not going to say is it coaching or is it the kids because the talent was there. I'm going to ask you guys, what was it?
For our years,
No, just in general.
in general,
From when your dad and them were there with Coach Brink. Yeah.
so what I'll say for Central's part, and it's not a full excuse, but being in 4A, of course, that's a tougher bracket than it is for 3A and 2A. Like the other city teams play, all the other city teams get to play 3A, 2A, 1A. You know what I'm saying? Humboldt's like 1A, Como, Highland, and all them, they're all 2A. Johnson's 3A. So the one, like a few years we were 3A, as far as Central goes, Rayon and Lil Sam Gruber and them, they made it to state, beat Johnson to go to state. I think like the next year, we got put right back in 4A. So I think that kind of hinders Central in some aspects just because with 4A, size matters. Like that's not something that you can't play with in 4A. But I do feel like there were years where Central did have the talent where maybe coaching, unfortunately, couldn't put them over the top. So I will say that. That's from my perspective, from what I seen,
Right.
is that when they had the talent, coaching couldn't put them over the top, and that was both with Brink and with Coach Howe. Those are the only two coaches that's been there in the last 30 years.
Yeah. No, for sure. And we hear you talk about all the teams. You've been a part of some legendary teams, and a lot of people have recency bias. And don't get me wrong, Chet and Jalen, that they are right there. In your eyes, coming from, like you said, the Eastsiders, the grassroots, the sizzle, being a part of them Burners teams, what was your favorite team to be a part of? I know that's going to be a hard question, but what you can give us even a couple.
Well, AAU wise or just high school wise?
Any team, because you've AAU to high school to anything, because you've been.
You got rec ball, you got whatever.
Well, high school, we'll just go AAU
Okay.
for one. I'll go one team. Cam Rundles was a monster from De La Salle.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Wilson, Dunker,
Big AJ.
Dunker,
Yeah.
Steph Weezy,
Oh,
Shoot the
yeah.
lights
Shooter.
Meach Williams,
killer.
He don't
Mike-
get a lot of
Mike
respect
Betts,
either.
Mike Betts, Minneapolis North,
Yep, I remember him.
Ricky Bastille Parks, Deontay Roberts, DeJuan Flowers,
Yep, I remember the one.
Freddie Coleman, Sammy Ricks,
That's a
and
whip.
and James Henderson,
Jeez.
and Big Meach.
That's a whip.
So I'll just say this. Anybody, if you wanted, you could get it however you wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
That's a whip.
However you wanted it. We went to Arkansas and played in the Real Deal. And we're the first Minnesota team ever go play in the Real Deal on the Hill in Arkansas, University of Arkansas. Everybody who's everybody was at the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You had Brandon Jennings and Kevin Love on one court. You had James Harden and DeMar DeRozan on another court. You had Derrick Rose and Eric Gordon on the other court. You had us. You had Billy Walker and O.J. Mayo on another. I mean, you can get it however you want it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then you had KD and Mike Beasley upstairs.
Cheating.
So all I'm saying is that group of kids that I had, and that's what I'm saying. You could talk about Jet and Jalen could have played with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but that's too much smoke.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of smoke. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about talent, you're talking about AJ went to Murray State, Steph Weezy went to Utah State, Cam went to Woodford, Jamar Diggs went to Woodford, Sammy Concordia had a great career at Concordia. David Hicks on that team too. He went to Long Island. I mean, you just go listen. Like people get to talking about when you had a shoe deal. We had D1 kids before. We was wearing Jordans when my kids, they was born with Jordans on.
Right.
So all of that, you know, you needed a shoe deal to get a car. We used to go to play Milwaukee, NY2LA. We go to Chicago, play Windy City, and we go to Arkansas. I didn't even go to Vegas with that group of kids.
Right.
Deontay and them went to that last year because Mr. Lund sponsored them. They went, but prior to that, that's farthest we went. We went to Indiana, who was a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee, NY2LA. We go to Chicago, Windy City shootout, Windy City Classic. And those dudes all went, you know, they went D1. I mean, you had a couple that went D2, and the D2 kids were incredible. You know, Meach Williams was incredible. Jumped out the gym.
Crazy.
You know, and forgot, Muggsy was on the team with them. Gerald England.
Mm-hmm.
Ronell, he was way better than you for the record. So let's just stop.
Flowers went to
He's the
NDSU too.
He's the
Gerald
coldest,
was
he's the
different
coldest
back
England
then.
ever is Muggsy.
Yeah, Gerald was different.
Yeah,
back then,
yeah.
for
So
sure.
Flowers didn't even play at Hopkins and went D1 playing for me.
Yeah.
Went to NDSU. I remember he was up there with Dylan.
NDSU.
Bounce.
So that team, and then Lil Brian's them team, when they had him, Mark Sonnet, Jordair, his sophomore year, they had him, Mark Sonnet, Jordair, they had Jeff Clark Neal, they had Santino Clay from Richfield, who jumped out the gym. They had John Bright, who jumped out the gym at 250 pounds. They had Mark Sonnet. We had Ethan Thompson from Eastview, white kid about 6'2", 360 women, whatever you want to do. And we had Sylvester. Remember Sylvester Walker?
Oh, yeah.
Johnson?
Momo.
Yeah.
Mumu.
Yeah, Mumu. So, like, those guys, man. And then, obviously, Jalen Suggs' box office, man. I mean, when we played Sizzle that last year, like, I'm going to be honest with you, it was a movie. We played, and we went to Vegas. I'll give you an example. We went to Vegas, and this was we went to Vegas in 2019, that summer.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And
Bishop Gorman.
And Bishop Gorman, we in Bishop Gorman, and Gary Charles, my man who runs the tournament. I said, who you want to play? I said, I think Suggs is better than Cade Cunningham. I want to play Team Texas first game. Can we get that game? He says, yes. So opening night, you get in the gym. It's electric. You got Bronze at the game, Melo's at the game, D Wade. My daughter had a heart attack. She bumped into D Wade. D Wade's at the game. Who's in basketball's there.
Is there.
There. So you got on the game before us, you got Jalen Green, Julian Strahlers, and Josh Christopher playing against Jonathan Kuminga, JT Thor, and they had the high jumper dude, Jimmy Gabb, was the African dude that dunked on us.
Yeah.
Now that's the opening game. Following game is us. It's us playing against Cade Cunningham, Greg Brown, Mike Mitchell.
It's cheating.
So
Team Dallas.
so they playing us. Playing us. So we got Suggs, Chet, Prince, and Suggs had just left USA Basketball in Colorado, so he got off the plane. He just comes in the gym. Gave me a hug. Unc, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
Opening, we come in the game. Suggs ends up with 50. Cade Cunningham at 37. They beat us 87-85.
Right.
It's a classic.
The atmosphere in that gym was crazy. And then the other one was when we went to Atlanta and played. We played against Team Thad out of Tennessee. Thaddeus Young. He's played for Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. We played Team Thad in Atlanta. So Atlanta's got a big field house, got 12 courts. So we had played them earlier in that year in New Jersey, and we got into a fight with them. So Larry just told the refs, we ain't playing no more. So we lost by forfeit.
Mm-hmm.
So the coach jumped on Twitter. He was talking crazy, talking about Sizzle got all the 5-star players. They're soft, this, and that. So when we got to Atlanta to go to the finals, the director from Under Armour set the game up for us to play Team Thad.
Early.
So we played Team Thad. So there's 12 courts. So this is a big field house. They had to yellow tape the court off. Every coach in the country, Penny Hardaway, Kyler Park, everybody in the gym was at this game.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's watching it. And Suggs and Chet and Prince, the team, just put on the show. Suggs had 39. Chet had 20 and 7. Chet was blocking shots. Prince was catching lobs. I mean, we was up 20 with 3 minutes left, and Larry called the dogs off and just put our reserves in with him. But, that team there, just because I've watched a lot of kids play, and Jet and all those dudes. But when you just talk about box office putting on a show, ain't nobody put on a show like Suggs, baby.
Mm-mm.
You can say whatever you want to say. The greatest players that come out of Minnesota. But when you talk about box office, 360 on you in the game, knows how to play to the crowd, chase down blocks, goon factor, which I scream everybody in a game. And then, that. And then when I went and saw Chet, when he crossed Steph Curry over, when I was at the Steph Curry camp in Oakland, he shut the gym down.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting with every NBA scout on the sideline, and they all know that he's my guy. But when he did that, I moved up the ladder with every NBA scout in the gym when he crossed Steph Curry over, man. I'm like, man, these are some moments that, like, you really just had to be there, and then to be able to be blessed enough to be an AU guy and be in the green room 2 years in a row.
Yep.
That'd be the only AAU program in the country to go back-to-back top 5 picks. This is just a dream. You can't even, if you have a childhood dream, I would have never in a million years when I started my program think that I would be in that position.
Right.
And I'm just blessed enough to be happy that, Larry thought enough about my body of work to come with me, and we put our egos aside and did what we did. But, I think it was it was representation for all the hard work that all y'all did and come to my program and everything. I think it was a great representation of the hood.
Easily.
And you deserve that, man, because like I said, we could talk all night of what you've done, and everyone's been screaming that we're not a hockey state, we're a basketball state, and we've seen it growing up, and we've seen everyone how cold people were that didn't make it and the people that did make it. But I definitely want to say that you are a main reason, if not the first reason, to get basketball over that hump. And a lot of people just see Jalen and Chet and think like, oh yeah, but it started way before that. And then like that was like the coming home party, and I was super happy seeing you in the draft and for you to be in them green rooms. I know you talked a little bit about it, but like just how was it watching them go from, youngins? Like I currently live in the house. Jalen's auntie owns the house, but so she would tell the story that he used to put the hoop right up in the living room and shoot. So I live in the house that he grew up right now, and just watching them grow up and watching all your work put in, like just talk about how proud you were of that and just that experience to really bring that attention to Minnesota, because selling out the Target Center more than the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Man, you big time, man. You big time.
Not forget about that.
That game, honestly, really, that game was really supposed to set. I set that game up really the year before, me and Larry, because you forgot Kenyon Martin's son went to Sierra Canyon.
Yes.
So Kenyon Martin Jr., I met Gary Charles introduced me and Kenyon Martin in Vegas. So me and Kenyon Martin met in Vegas. So we were supposed to play that game the previous year, but Kenyon Martin was sponsoring the program before LeBron was there. So Kenyon Martin had already booked out all their games, and he paid, so they couldn't play the game in Minnesota that year. They was going to do it. That would have been Chet's sophomore year, Jalen's junior year.
Mm-hmm.
So the following year came up, and me and Larry was like, hey, we got in contact with Sierra Canyon, and they was ready. They said, let's do it. So, obviously, that's history. Like I said, these beat writers, the prep hoops guys, a lot of people don't know. Prep hoops, Nick Carroll, you played for me, man. Let people know you was Sizzle day one, okay?
Now, did you set that whole thing up? So, like Sierra playing the New Jersey team
How
and
did you even
everything?
do it, though? Because I thought we could only play border states.
The whole thing was set up because of this.
Okay.
Because everybody wanted to see Sierra Canyon play. Then that's when Geico got involved, because Geico was doing them high school games around the country.
Okay.
But Geico, I'm friends with Paul Biancardi, who's the lead scout for Ranking Kids on ESPN. So I had already me and him had talked about it when we was in Las Vegas, when Jalen and them had played that, what I just was telling you about.
Yeah.
Previous two. So basically all it was Geico contacting our athletic director at Minnehaha. As long as we can play a team from out of town, if they come to Minnesota, you can play. We just couldn't leave the state and go down to play in California, because we had offers to go play battle on the beach. They invited us because Jalen and Chip was so highly touted. We got invited to a ton of out of town tournaments, but we couldn't play because you couldn't leave your
Which
state
is crazy.
in November.
Yeah.
So we had that set up, and then, our athletic director's a good friend of mine, but he was crazy enough to think they could host a game in Minnehaha. I'm like, come on, dog.
Nah,
That was wild.
They put the seats on. They put the tickets on sale. They was sold out within 5 minutes, man.
Them tickets was
And
gone.
the minute they said that they flipping that over to
Target Center. It was even crazy.
I mean, you come in there, and then we had the No Limit Soldiers coming. They transferred into Minnehaha. You know what I'm saying?
Man, you did
Nobody
a lot,
ever had the
bro.
No Limit Soldiers transferring into the school, man.
Exactly.
They brought the tank.
Brought the tank
Feel
for
me?
real.
They brought the tank, man. I mean, this is legendary stuff, But the thing is, Master P, honestly, is one of the most down to earth dudes that you ever want to meet. Honestly, And he was a joy to deal with. He was cool as a fan. He sit in the crowd. Honestly, you would never see him try to come and berate the coaches. Nothing. He sit up there and mind his own business. Him and Romeo and them guys, and obviously we would have won it whether they was here or not.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Obviously,
But that helped them for sure.
It just catapulted their recruitment, because both kids' recruitment wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So they put the S on their chest. You know what I'm saying? And and I say with AAU coming, they can say many things about all these programs. I got much respect for Renee Pulley, because without Renee Pulley and guys like John Sherman, I would have never did what I did in AAU. You know what I'm saying? I got much love for Willie Vang, the Fury guys. D1 Minnesota does a great job at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I'm not hating on nobody. But at the end of the day,
Get that.
if you put the S on your chest, you just know that you will go to college. I don't care if it's Crown College or UNLV. You're going
there
somewhere. Because Ladarian brought me a kid about 5 years ago from from deep Ricori, Minnesota. And he's playing at Long Island University right now.
True.
And he got a lot of freckles, light skin.
True.
Red
That's
hair.
my boy too. Shouts out
just
to
saying,
Gavin Pendergrass, man.
Gavin, for sure.
Always, man.
Yeah,
That's
you
my
know,
young life
kid,
for
you
sure.
know, come from nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Nobody expected him. You know, he went over and played for Darren Edwards over in rest in peace, Matt McCollister, South St. Paul.
Yeah.
And then shout out to my guy Darren Edwards. You know, a lot of people don't want to bring it up, and I give him a hard time. But understand this: everybody talk about the city. He's the only guy in the city. They got 3 D1 kids back to back, three kids in a row. Alonzo Dodd, Appalachian State, Jordan Tooney, UC Upstate, and Gavin Pendergrass, Long Island University. Nobody from Johnson, Central, no schools like that. Let's just keep it real. Since we talking basketball, he's got 3. And nobody want to give Darren Edwards his flowers. I'm giving his flowers right now, y'all.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. Shouts out to Darren
Shouts
too
out
for
to
sure.
Edwards.
Young and doing it too. He been doing it. It's the family first. You know what I'm saying? We can get into that, but you know,
and we
shouts
giving
out
flowers
to him.
out, and I also want to give flowers out to my boy Jerome Williams, the Spartans, because at the end of the day, the end of the day, when it went in cycles, it went Hustlers, it went Eastsiders, and then the Eastsiders went to the Spartans. You know, obviously Rome doesn't do a lot of high school stuff, but when you talk about inner city young talent, all these kids you're watching that have come to my gym, Anthony Smith, Jordan, Jaden Moore, them kids all put Spartan jerseys on, and Rome and I have always had the partnership with Larry to where if you talk about the kids that come from the Spartans outside of Trey Holloman, who I consider like a son to me, he played for Pulley, but still he's real close to me.
That's
but
my boy.
Outside of that, all the kids, you know, the Princes, the Marion Watsons, you know, Anthony Smith, Jaden Moore, those kids all play for the Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Rome doesn't get a lot of credit, but like I said, end of the day, all the rival programs, D1 Minnesota, them, they're sitting on the doorstep trying to get every kid we got.
Every
in
kid.
Philly. You know, I'm just being
100%.
real.
Yeah.
PJ Hill, y'all too. Y'all love that S on your chest, baby. I love you and your dad, but the S on your chest will get you a scholarship, baby.
They know
End of
it.
the day, it is what it is.
They can say what they want, but let's talk about it though. Like who's really putting, and not just see, that's the thing, right? That when we look at it and we talk about it, and I remember Q saying something. Shout out to Coach Q. You know what I'm saying? We always big him up
100%.
anytime we have a chance. But I remember Q saying this, and then when you look at it, it's like that's real. That's the real definition. Cause that's how I even look at it when I'm doing my thing. But it's not about the kids that was already supposed to be going. You know what I mean? Wherever they was going. What about them kids that wasn't getting looked at? Wasn't getting no chances
You just
that you
talked
able
about
to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get to that higher. But who's really like? There's not a lot of programs that's really getting these kids these opportunities
Everybody
at college
wants to
levels.
try to have the next Jalen Suggs. How about the next Ja Morant who was never ranked? How about the next Dame Lillard who was never ranked? How about the next Kawhi Leonard who was never ranked? Where are they at?
Exactly.
Like a lot of my guys and my ex players. A lot of my ex players are they got kids,
Right.
and a lot of them weren't that good
Mhm.
as parents. You know, they weren't that good players, but everybody wants to live their dream through their kid. You know, you want to practice your kids 7 days a week. You want to beat them. You know, all this stuff. At the end of the day, I don't want to hear about my kid plays for Tyler Heroes junior program. They play Adidas Junior. There's no college coaches in none of them games.
They don't care.
So all of that stuff about your kid plays Adidas Juniors and made hoops, and I got kids that play made hoops, and they don't mean nothing. Ben Johnson from University of Minnesota is not going to watch 6th grade nationals unless his son playing. So
True.
all of this stuff where everybody's worried about speeding the process and forcing your kid to be the next one and having them work out a bunch of trainers, I can tell you what, we got more trainers in the city right now than ever before, and it just blows me away that these dudes are skill guys, because at the end of the day, 90% of them, guess who they train with? Quincy Caldwell. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Quincy Caldwell, it was a guy that trained. The majority of these dudes run around here talking about they got skill training, they got this, that, whatever. I love that there's an outlet. But at the end of the day, all those players that's training, none of them had no trainer. They were just cold.
Right.
Brandon Felix could just play. Therese Van Pelt came to Chicago. He played with me. He could just play.
That boy cold.
He could play.
That's my
And
young
still
boy
can
right
play.
there.
Therese Van Pelt could play.
Yeah.
Jordan Horn's better now than ever before, and he could always play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of these dudes, they'll tell you they never had no trainer, but when they got to a certain level of excellence in basketball, all them dudes for the last 10 years, they was in there training with Q.
Yeah.
Before we even had that gym we got now, we had the old half a court with Bally's, and you had this Nooney was in there, Zach Lofton was in there, Rajon was in there, Jordan, all them dudes was in there with Q.
Getting that work.
And you look around now, these are all like Q's little brothers, you know. They all, you know, you see Joe Therese got his own gym. You know, Brandon Felix does his thing. You know, a lot of these dudes, you know, they train. But at the end of the day, man, you know, then they try to tie their name. My problem with a lot of these cats is they try to put jerseys up with kids they train, and the kids was already All-American when they came to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Tuck and all them dudes, but I mean, let's keep it 1,000. I mean, Maddie Greenway was cold before she touched down. She could train with you.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing with Tuck's one of the coldest fundamental guys that ever played this game. He don't get a lot of credit. You know, he's a silent assassin. The Hoop Habit saying he's trying out. He coached Sizzle last year. But I'm just saying, you know, a lot of these dudes, not him, I'm not talking about, but I'm saying a lot of these dudes outside of what they do in the suburbs that train these kids, they'll do one workout with them, put them on a video, and they'll act like that they are the reason why this kid is McDonald's All-American. That's my big problem with the training stuff.
When it was like he was already a McDonald's All-American.
Yeah.
He was already going to be one.
Yeah, because guys like, you know, Tucker and Felix and those guys, you know, Quincy played overseas, but they're cold. I mean, Quincy trained Zach Lofton. Listen, when I brought Rajon and Zach Lofton to Quincy didn't even know who they was.
Right.
He didn't know either one. It was already cold, though. Y'all both know that.
Oh, yeah, easily.
You know what I'm saying? And Zach Lofton, you know, I mean, come on. He's better at 32 than he was at 22. He's 32 years old right now, $1 million strong a year right now in China. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Nobody talks about it, though, unless we have the stage that y'all presented right here.
Oh, yeah, we are. We love
so
Zach.
when we be talking about all this 3-on-3s and all this and that, don't nobody want to smoke with Zach Lofton. Let's just keep it real.
No, they know that.
So when we talk that one-on-one stuff, and especially if you put some money on the table, but at the end of the day, why would he risk $1 million a year job to come play for some meaningless, you know, for social media followers?
No, we know. We know.
I
what
just
that's
think
about.
that that's a great situation that Jordan Horn and these guys have created an outlet for dudes to do something, man.
Yeah.
You know, you got some dudes that, you know, may hit some bumps in the road in their college careers and they never really panned out. But the fact that Jordan and these dudes have created a stage for them to go out and, you know, the guys like Ronell and the, you know, D Stan is better now at 32 than he was at, you know, at 22. Yeah. Just to see these guys have this opportunity because Jordan and them are putting out there for them is a great thing. So kudos to them guys.
Yeah, I just like to see the competitiveness of it, of it all. Like I just like to see that fire because, man, look, I think people forget that that's a part of the game, like the mental aspect. Like people always just want to go right to taking it outside of basketball. And it's like, I mean, we can do that too, but dang, like why you just don't want to talk no stuff back, you know what I'm saying, make the game competitive. Like, of course we could do that, but, you know, we just trying to talk stuff. We trying to get the game going, you know, a little blood.
Give it a reason to play.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like people can't even do that these days, so that'd be tough sometimes.
And I think too, man, they don't give enough. Like we talk a lot about boys basketball, but man, somebody got to give Angel Robinson them some love, man. The girls,
we got that coming.
The girls' side, you know, in Minnesota is national right now. Yeah. You know, Angel Robinson is a major piece. You know, Lisa more old school. You know, people like that.
My dad was just talking about the first Central team to win.
Yeah, back Bumper Watson, them guys back in the late 70s, early 80s, they was something else. But like you know, Angel and those guys and Ashley Ellis and them guys, man, and you know, obviously Paige Becker's played for Sizzle.
Right.
You know, her and Mia Curtis from Minnie High. But like, you know, girls like that, Angel and those guys kind of like catapulted that movement.
Easily.
100%. And Central girls, they went back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah, they went back to back.
Kiara Buford and those guys, like those girls were off the charts. You know, they were box
De'Aaron
office.
Taylor,
you know, when they played Taylor Hill and them in the Twin Cities game of South, it sold out.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I think
bussin'.
that we definitely need to bring light to that. And, you know, obviously Yolanda's done an unbelievable job over at Como with her daughter and stuff like that, you know, over there in that program. You know, Como, you know, wasn't a great girls basketball program years ago. And, you know, for what Yolanda has done for the city has been incredible.
It
you
is.
know what I'm saying?
We just had Cam on for Coach's Corner. He was talking about it, but he was saying like they dominance is
it's bad.
It's so bad that they can only play the girls once.
Yeah,
I'm like
2 years ago, I wish you guys would have covered it. 3 years ago, I had Ronnie Porter and the girl from Mount Irons that plays
Bull.
shows.
Yeah.
She plays in North Carolina. They played in a big event of mine over Hiawatha 3 years ago. Standard, it was sold out. It was a great crowd. And the game reminded me so much fun of that. My boy, recipes, Damon Walker was there cheering loud for Como.
R.I.P.
His
Unc,
daughter
man.
went to play in Nyack, and Damon was in the front row. One of the first who's in the train. What's up, baby? You know, all fired up. But that was that was one of the best games that nobody talks about. I got pictures of that. Everything it was Ronnie Porter and the girl from Mount Irons. Man, they were going back and forth the whole game, and then Como ended up pulling it out late. Great game though.
Man, look, I think, and that's something that we want, and I think that's something that I've been thinking about. I don't know how much I can actually do it, but I'm like, I might try and do something to help these girls in the city because it's like my daughter coming up, and I don't really want it to be like this when she get there. You know what I mean? Like I would rather start to get a little better right
sizzle
now.
girls, man, but the problem, I'm looking for somebody to be to manage that side for us. You know,
you want me?
Girls, I definitely want to have a girls program because everybody asks for it all the time.
No, I've been thinking about it honestly, and I've been training my little cousin Vaji daughter. You know what I'm saying? Because she in 8th grade, she played JV at Cooper, and she's just doing her thing. So when I was coaching at Tartan last year with A-Rob, just seeing the girls' athleticism is pretty much up there with the boys. The athleticism, like they can run, they can't jump high, of course, that's different. But I'm talking about as far as the strength, being able to shuffle their feet, move their feet, you know what I'm saying, run fast,
their
dribble
motor
the ball.
skills are a lot more advanced than a lot of boys if you look at them.
So if you can actually help them, that's why you see a Madden Greenway. Like if it's controlled, I can dominate this game already as a 9th grader, 10th grader. You know what I'm saying? Because I already have skill that girls that are older than me or even my age, they have never even thought about having just because they've never even worked on it. They probably never even done just make 10 layups in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to try to tell girls do that, like just make 10 layups. You know, they looking at me like 10 layups, like yeah, just 10 layups. You know, but it's just like that. That is something that I think about with development. Like I think that's kind of missing so much on the girl side that it's kind of making me like feel like I might need to get over there a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
A little bit.
You guys got a lot to give to it. You know, like me, honestly, man, I'm at the point with AAU. I want to just sit back and watch everybody coach. If you need help, you know, obviously, I'm gonna do this last run with my nephew now, this 228 class, because I got some kids that can play. You know, Trey Moore from Hopkins and Ichima Doko from over at De La Salle. My nephew Kamar Sandifer Housie from Lehigh. But honestly, man, to be able to sit back and watch you guys coach and just sit back and I can manage from afar. That's where I'm at with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in AAU, I really don't know what more I could accomplish. You know what I'm saying?
And you done did it all.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I like to watch the 3rd and 4th graders play and stuff like that and sit back and watch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. It looks, and it seems like whatever you put your mind to, you can excel at. Like we talked about burners, you got a crack in there, you got a crack in the. When you started the East Siders, Howard Pulley, like you said, was a dominant one, and now, 15, 20 years later, when you think about AAU basketball, you think about Sizzle first. You brought everyone to Minnehaha. Minnehaha, when I was growing up, I didn't really think of Minnehaha. Now it's a household name across the nation. So everything you done touched done really skyrocketed. So we definitely want to give you your flowers. But just listening to everyone you done either had a hand in, help with, you done never turned nobody away. Is it even possible to give me a starting 5 of everyone that's been through Sizzle and then a 6-man, or is that
the greatest starting 5?
Yeah, I need to hear a starting
just 5. Just 5 players that been
5.
through the Sizzle team train.
Well, my son's going to be the 6th man because without him, there is no Sizzle. There's no East Side. You know what I'm saying?
We're going to put him at 6
And
man.
I'll say this. Of everybody that came out of his era, he's the one that got the most athleticism left.
Easily.
Crazy bounce.
Hey, that ain't
Crazy
never.
bounce. He's the one.
Easily.
If there's anybody that's take care of everybody, y'all know he has a great time on the weekends like we all do. But when you get to talking about just raw dog athleticism but still jump like he's 21,
Crazy.
athleticism,
that is Lil B for
him.
sure.
Strong as hell.
I don't even be knowing
That's
punching
him.
that bitch.
why he works out like that. Like, dude.
For sure. You know, he's played, what, 6? It's going to be a 6-year of arena football.
Yeah.
He's had some bumps in the road, but Brian don't play for the money he plays because he just loves it.
Yeah,
For the
love that.
game.
Hey, he
And,
love
you
that
know,
work for sure.
He just loves it, and he loves to train himself and get his body. I think he loves to defy gravity. You know, when you look at a guy, he's a very motivated guy like Terrell Owens, who's 51 years old, with the body of a 21-year-old. He sees it. That's
Terrell Owens still feel like he can play in the NFL.
You know, so
That's my favorite though, so he
but
can.
when you say Sizzle all the time, I'm gonna put him in 6 man, but Sizzle all the time, guards got to be Suggs.
Which one?
Jalen Suggs. Jalen
Deion
Suggs.
ain't gonna like that.
I love Deion. there's levels to it.
It's
It
levels,
is.
huh?
Jalen Suggs, Jordan Jet,
I feel you gotta be there. You
gotta
be
have
the
Jetter.
backcourt.
Deontay Roberts,
Okay,
Okay.
Zach Lofton,
okay.
and center got to be Chet.
Big
That's
Chad.
on
Come get some.
That's
Yeah.
a crazy
Yeah,
alumni
I mean,
game.
I mean, and you. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't realize when Dane Danger played for Sizzle, he picked up 20 offers in one summer.
That was his best summer, wasn't it?
Hadn't had when he played fully. He was talking to me when they were 1-12 on the circuit.
Yeah. He was ready. Like I gotta.
But that's my man, 50 grand. We still talk every day.
Yeah.
Via text.
Everyone done come through like, man, this man done had alumni games. He done everything. I'm gonna show him the picture. We're going to put the picture up right here at the alumni game. I think it's me, Dylan, Jet, and B. Bell, but just playing in them alumni games and seeing everyone.
Was that the one over at
McAllister? Yeah, Zach was cooking. Came back. He wanted all the smoke. So.
I ain't played in like 5 years. Boy, my knees be bad.
But just to have, like, you have a full slate of games all day, 6 games of all alumni coming back showing love. People don't get love like that, especially from a hating city that we don't grow up. But then like you don't put up with your bumps. A lot of people don't talk stuff. A lot of people done said this.
Tried to hate.
It's undeniable now. You got to go through training
to get to the
next level.
But
the hating got to come with the greatness.
I appreciate it, but at the end of the day, man, and I think any kid that's ever played with me,
I was gonna see that, and they gonna be like, "Who is that?" Okay, I'll come get him during the school year.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing about it is that a lot of these guys, you're selling your shoe company, but at the end of the day, I got somebody expected right now that Carter Self we plan on Puma Circuit, whatever. Listen, first of all, how do you got 10 tournaments out of town and you downtown selling the world's finest candy bars? I'm just keeping it real.
Oh, I don't even want to know who he's talking about.
How do you got? And how are you going out of town more than me and Larry Suggs?
No, that's one thing you see. When I coach, I'm like, I ain't trying to go out of town that much.
Downtown in front of Pizza Luce. I got a problem with that.
Yeah, that's sick. Okay.
I'm just keeping it real. Come on,
you said the fundraising is at a whole new level. Yeah. You're still selling world's finest chocolate
you can't
bars.
Even buy a Spirit ticket.
Nah, you're not going nowhere.
So I'm just saying, a lot of these cats, man,
selling fake drinks,
Man, listen, you're selling shoe deal.
Listen,
you haven't put nobody in college.
I will say that that's something that I had to have, like, get parents to buy into, and for the most part, they have, like, especially because it's like, look, we don't need to go out of town to get ran. Like, do you want to go out of town to get ran? Like, that's what's going to happen. We're getting ran here. Why would we go out of town? Like, it's not being mean.
Parents want to turn into a vacation.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you want to go have a good time
and hang out.
If you want to have a good time, go have you a good time, but don't try to put it at your son's expense.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I tried to look, this is real talk. This was some years ago. I tried to tell, this is my little brother Halo. And after the day, I look, them kids, it's not them kids. It's just like, I tried to tell them, like, I don't think our team should go to Vegas. But all the parents was like, we want to go to Vegas. That's when you put your nephew Kobe on the squad, like, yeah, and y'all going to play up. I definitely didn't want to do that. But, we did. I'm like, look, I'm telling the kids, hey, they want to go. We want to go to Vegas. I'm like, look, I get it, but do we really got it? All right, everybody like, we got to go to Vegas, coach. We go out there. I don't think we had a close game until like our last game. Then we ended up beating the West Side Boosters because they put us back. But like for me, I'm like, this can't be fun for you. Like it can't be fun. That's what it's about for me. At some point, I realized you got to realize like, okay, your talent is only going to take you so far. That's the realistic part of it. Your talent's only going to take you so far. Now it's about you having fun. When I see you out there not even having fun, you don't even want to sprint back. You're letting kids just dunk. They're having a good time on that team for sure, but we're not having a good time. You don't even care if you play now. You know what I'm saying? When it gets to that point where it's like I sub you out and you like, I don't even want to go back in. It's like, don't do that. But I do want to, before we wrap this up, I do want to make sure I give a chance for you to go ahead and shed some light on Pops, man, Big Sandifer, Big Train for sure, because I know he was very influential. You know what I'm saying, in things that you did in your life. He probably was, big man, big matriarch for everything that you did. So I just want to, because I think it's not really talked about. We try to make sure that we ask our interviewers questions about, their parents. How influential was your parents in your upbringing and, everything that you did. So, I know he was there at the concession stand. We used to be like, I just worked the game. Brian said I could get a Gatorade. He'd be like, Brian got to tell me that himself. Like, I ain't giving you this Gatorade.
Yes.
You be like, come on, Brian busy now. You got to try to get Brian to stop talking to who he talking to. Be like, Dad wouldn't give me the Gatorade. I just worked the game. So, you know what I'm saying? So I just know how, like, dedicated he was, and supportive, his son.
My dad was, he was who I started the program with. Me and my dad we started together. I told him, I said, Dad, we got to do something for train. So when I started it, shit, my money was, I just got up playing, and I was just grinding, having tournaments, whatever.
Yeah.
So I always knew if I went on the road, I knew he was gonna pay for half of the hotel rooms. You know what I'm saying? He was always, my dad was He's my everything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Him and my mom didn't travel with us as much. She traveled with us more now since my dad passed. So as you know, Ladarian, you know, we've been out of town.
Yeah.
My mom, you know, I love for her to come with me because you know what I'm saying. When you're left with one parent, man,
Yeah.
it sheds a whole nother light to you know your values.
Yeah, and the appreciation.
I'll wait till you get done.
Oh yeah, it's
Lil
all
Bri-
podcast
Lil-
still too. So
Lil Brian said, check your phone. He just texted me.
hold on
I
now.
thought we had a little break.
We're not sending messages to the podcasters now. Hold on now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Okay, he got something he
I had
wanted
to
to
make sure it was an
mention.
emergency.
No, he got something he wanted to mention. Make sure you mention that.
Yeah. So my dad
Yeah.
was a when you say nation, big nation, whatever, he's the original big nation because at the end of the day, you know, he was the reason the way he raised me, you know, with the mentality I have to never give up on my dreams and you know, basically, you know, just the hard work, the grind, you know, I got that all from him. You know, he's the biggest supporter of mine ever since I was little. You know, I remember I won my first pump pass and kick competition up at Sheffer, and there's a picture in the St. Paul Pioneer Press that my mom's got somewhere right now. It's a picture of me punting. It's a picture of him standing right next to me. And the first trophy I ever won was a pump pass and kick up at Sheffer.
Ooh, okay.
And then back in the day, you know, once you got there, your big days you get to go do pump pass kick at the Midway Stadium, the old Saint Stadium.
Yeah.
So, you know, my dad, man, is, you know, when you talk about your best friend, your brother, I don't understand kids that don't have the relationship with their parents, stuff like that, because I couldn't ask for a better role model, man, and you know, the way that I am with you guys is the same way he was with me to the day he died. You know what I'm saying? He was my best friend. He was my homie. He was my mentor. He was everything, man. But, you know, the soul sizzle mentality is through him. You know what I'm saying? He used to get on me about being too hard on little Brian. You know what I'm saying? Because I was too hard on Brian when he was younger. And I apologized to Brian a few years ago. I said, you know what, dude? You know, and, you know, I know I was too hard on you, you know, about a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, you turned out all right. You know what I'm saying?
Makes a man at the end of the day.
But I was a young dad. You know, I had him at 22 years old and just thought that, you know, you could just force feed him to whatever. You know, he just loved the game anyways. But, you know, like I said, my dad helped me a lot in development, raising him. And my mom was instrumental in it, too, because she was always the one that would get on me even more so than my dad sometimes about how, you know, I rode him so tough. And then on the road, man, like we would go on the road. We drive to Arkansas. We had a tournament. We played in Kansas City. We played in the Kansas City Premier Tournament. The team with Mark Sonnen and Jeff and them on it. And I didn't have, my bread was all messed up. So I called Larry McKenzie because he used to rent the hospitality houses buses.
Okay.
So we had it was a white short bus. Larry McKenzie said, give you $100. He gave me $100. You can rent the white short bus. Now, mind you, on that bus, coaching for me that time was Sean Sweeney, who was assistant head coach for the Dallas Mavericks right now. His first job when he quit college at St. Thomas.
Okay.
His first job was with Sizzle, coach with me. Head coach at Wyzetta, Brian Stetler. First job. Came out of St. Thomas with me. Peltier, Eastridge, first job when he came out. He came to Sizzle with me when y'all was playing.
Yeah.
So he came to me. That's when you had a team with Taylor now.
Yeah.
He's playing with me. So I said, Dad, we got to get to Kansas. And I said, but I can't drive this bus. My dad drove truck for years. Man, he drove that truck. He drove that short bus all the way from here to Kansas City.
Like it was a Buick, huh?
Man, this was 2007. We had that team. I forgot I had a kid on there that was in being the MIC Player of the Year that year. Carl Hip, Hamlin.
Okay.
Totino Grace. He's an MIC Player of the Year.
Yep.
5 years later. My dad drove us down there, man, and it was him and 2 other sets of parents, white parents that when I played in my program was the only ones in the crowd supporting the team. We get to the championship. My dad sitting on the baseline, and you know, I talk a lot of doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? I talk a lot.
Of course.
He talks more than me. So we're playing a team St. Louis, and he's like, who do y'all play? Who do you guys play? He said, we play y'all. My dad started talking crazy earlier. We feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you, man. He talked crazy to him. Second play of the game, Mark Sonnen throws Santino alive from down near half court. and he ducked. So my dad fell off the bridge, just laid down and started kicking his legs in the ground. man,
They wanted to fight, huh?
you're talking about a dude 60 years old that's just on one all the time, you know, and he brought life to it. The swagger, he's coming in the gym with his FUBU jeans on, with his FUBU jacket, hat cocked to the side. You know, he dapping up all of y'all's dads and stuff when he come in the gym. He's the first face you see coming through the doors when he's charging. You know, people try to get in talking about, man, he goes, hey, man, he said, can I get in, Pops? He's like, no, man, can you get the Timberwolves games for free?
Okay, early.
And they like,
you're not getting in if he had to know. That's a fact.
He's there. Then you got my mom and my Aunt Marlene, my taller Aunt Marlene. They be running concession stand out of the concession stand at St. Bernard's on the side there. And, you know, those people, my mom, my aunt, and my dad are the major reason why, you know, that I've had the success that I've had.
Right.
My sister was a major piece into just to support me all the time. And obviously, you know, her sons are playing for me now, Kamar and Kobe. And Kobe's having a successful career as a receiver at Augsburg right now as a freshman. And Kamar is 6'3", is a freshman right now. He's one of them. You better start following him, guys. Kamar Sandifer, Minnehaha, he's a top freshman over there. He's gonna be a guy. He might be a Division I tight end as well in football. So he's gonna be tough. You know, the next 3 years over there, he's gonna be really tough. And
we'll put him on our watch list.
Yeah, put him on your watch list.
For sure.
But you know, it's just like I said. You know, I'm glad you brought it up. I was gonna bring it up eventually, but you know, my dad he's the reason why it stand the S on your chest.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what it's all about. You know, that's really what the S is. It's sizzle, but that's him.
About the pops.
And I take something with him every day, whether it's a joke or whether it's just a lesson in life. You know, and that's huge. You know what I'm saying? And his legacy lives real strong in every gym because, you know, it's not a tournament that goes by, somebody tries to bring his name up. He was very close to Brandon Bell, too. B. Bell spent a lot of time with me. I remember when he was first diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and he came home from Rochester and they told him that he only had a few months to live. And B. Bell happened to be at my mom's house with me that day. I remember before we all left, he told all of us to come sit down with him and he said a prayer. And B. Bell can tell you there wasn't a dry in there when my dad was just saying, you know, prayed, you know, just prolong his life or whatever. And B. Bell was one of them, was there with us. And he knows, you know, that those was that memory will go on with all of us for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I definitely wanted to make sure because I know, you know what I'm saying, like that bond you had with your pops, you know what I'm saying, because it's damn near like one I got with mine, you know what I'm saying. Y'all's might even been just slightly stronger just throughout because y'all probably never went through any breaks like me and my dad did. But me and my dad's bond is still so strong. Like I wouldn't be able to tell my story without mentioning like what my dad taught me and did for me and showed me throughout my life to make me the man I am today. So I wanted to make sure we definitely gave Big Sandifer his flowers because I just remember, like I said, I remember his face just like the stories you were saying. He not letting you in. He making sure your team play this weekend. Because, you know, people started getting slick trying to come with the backpacks, you know what I'm saying, trying to get in free with the game. Nah, your team play this weekend.
They would find out what color the magic marker was on the
yeah, boy. People trying to come get it. That ain't my marker. Nah, hold on. So I just watch him catch people. Like, people thought they was slick. It's over with.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just end it with one more question because I know this was something that I was gonna say I'm gonna end it with this last one just because I already know this was something that we've been talking about a little bit back and forth with the text and like you said, you've already been dropping just so many jewels as far as like player history and players from back in the day. But for you personally, man, for yourself, because you kind of got more knowledge than we have, we only got like shorthand memory. What was the best class you ever seen come out the state of Minnesota?
That's a good one. I want to hear this.
Let's go football first. What do you think football was the best class? Your year? What year was that?
Sure, 86.
86, okay. Who'd you have?
Daryl Thompson, first round pick, Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Brian Getz drafted Eagles. John Leverance drafted Redskins. I got drafted in the CFL, Saskatchewan. And I got drafted in the Arena League. Harry Jackson got drafted from St. Cloud State by the Green Bay Packers. I can't even name. And if you go 80, if you go nationwide,
86,
you're talking about prime time. You're talking about Emmitt Smith. You talking about
That's all in your class? Prime is your class?
Seau.
Oof.
Greatest ever.
That's
Junior
a tough
Seau.
class nationwide for sure.
Yeah.
What you got basketball wise for me? What class would you take
country?
from Minnesota now?
Minnesota. The greatest basketball class? 09 was something else.
Do you hear me though? Do you hear me though? He know, and you can't argue with my man right there. Killers.
09.
You can't really argue
I'm
it.
just
You
telling
can't
you
really.
right now.
Yeah.
09. Listen, Royce White, Jordan Jet, Rodney Williams, Deion Suggs, my son, this dude, Dylan Hill. I mean, come on.
Cedric.
Marcus Williams, Cedric, Joe Bright. I mean, I even brought up Joe Bright. John Bright's 08.
Oh, he was a year before. Okay.
Joe Bright, another kid that played for me. Stephen F. Austin, D1. Like, one of the greatest trainers out in Houston right now. Joe Bright's doing a great job.
Yeah.
So, like, 09, and I'm just being honest, Jalen's them class 220s off the chain nationwide.
Yeah.
But
who was all? He had
but you're
a
talking
few
about
people in his state
220,
too, though.
Jalen Suggs class, you got Jalen Suggs, NBA. Javon Hadley, Louisville. Curtis Jones just played for Sizzle. He played for me. Curtis Jones at Iowa State.
Going crazy right now.
What was
lead
Jericho? What?
Jericho Sims is 2018.
Okay, 18.
He's 218.
Okay.
That 220 class is special. And nationwide, you're talking.
What was
about
David Roddy with?
David
Jalen?
Roddy's 19.
Okay, he's a year before. Okay.
Terry Lockett, Eastern Michigan.
He did have a boy from Eden Prairie, the shooter.
Caden Johnson is playing at Nevada football.
Yeah.
Craig McDonald's playing. He just signed with Utah State. Wyatt Schroeder that played for us from St. Francis. He played football for the U of M. Rashid Hageman was a monster.
Oof.
I forgot about him in your class too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of
Yeah, it's coming back to you.
So that class, but Lil Brian's in class 09, his class, forget about it.
Different, man.
You can forget about that. That's just something else.
And then you would put Jalen's class second?
Ever?
Because you be talking about the 80s and
the 80s. The 80s is better. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. I mean, because to be honest with you, when you go 80s, you're talking about
legends.
Legendary. I mean, legendary. You had classes like 85, 86. But that 09 class, and I know this, there's only one guy that holds a 3-point record that's still holding right now. The most 3-pointers in a row was Lil Brian, trained 8 in a row. He had 8 in a row against St. Paul Academy. He had 29 in the second half.
Jeez,
8 3-pointers in a row. He want me to mention that. I forgot.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you
He's
get
like,
that
"Dad."
out for him.
He goes, yeah, he holds a state record for most 3-pointers in a row. He had 8 in a row at 29 points off the bench. He got to the game late. Came off the bench at 29, so 8 in a row. So, but the 09 class is special, obviously, not just because of him, but I would say it would probably be 06 with Deontay, Cam Reynolds, Jamar Diggs, Stephon Williams, David Hicks, Big Bryce Webster that played it over there, Bryce Webster, that class, Sammy Ricks, Big Meech.
06 is tough.
Please don't forget, we talk basketball. The greatest Johnson player, Didi, stop. It's Big Walter.
Big Walt.
So let's just stop it.
Big Walt.
If anybody at Johnson don't give and say he's the greatest, then you're just a hater.
Yeah.
It ain't Roe, and I love Roe. It ain't Eston. I think they would agree. It's Big Walter.
I ain't gonna get into that.
And them are my guys. But 05, that was a great class too.
Yeah.
But I just thought it because we're talking about RIPs, but that kid and the kid in your class, Jordan Hughes.
Oh yeah, man,
special.
That's my brother. So
what I'm saying? He was special.
We're gonna wrap it up on that, man. We got B Train. This is what y'all wanted. This is what we needed, to be honest. So this is what this whole state needed today. History lessons. We had to give flowers to this man because as you heard today, it's just been legendary activities after legendary activities, man. So we appreciate you for stopping through or for allowing us to come through. This is probably the first time we traveled.
Oh, we're gonna travel for you.
We're gonna travel some more, man.
We're gonna travel you. Like I said,
this is TCS, baby.
Flowers on top of flowers. You can't talk about Minnesota history if you're not talking about this man. Might be the most important for our history. I watched it. I'm grown up from a youngin', so definitely appreciate you. You inspired me to give back to the kids and coaching and being around there. So would be no basketball at this level without you, man. So just want to appreciate you, big homie.
And I'll give it to you on this. Jordan Augsburg, caught a touchdown for little Brian at the Metrodome when they played in
Hey,
8th grade.
did you hear
8th
me?
grade
though?
All-Star
Look,
game.
locked in, man. Caught a touchdown. Hey, one of the best quarterbacks. I said, hey, Brian, I need you. I'm trying to catch one.
He sure did. You forgot